Over 10 million foreclosures could be hitting the market. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, welcome to the channel. If you're new, I want to thank you for coming. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. Before we get into today's red hot topic, I'm going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Please watch to the end for my final thought. Hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very tricky times. All right, folks, welcome to the channel. It's always an honor and a privilege to be with you. I hope you're all doing great. Buckle up, strap in. We got another hard-hitting pull, no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows and sunshine. Just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. And folks, we have potentially over 10 million homes that could be going into foreclosure sooner than later. This is insane to me. This is insanity. I can't even believe the things that I continue to have to report on here at this channel. Listen, folks, love real estate. As a long-time real estate professional, somebody who's absolutely owes a lot of his wealth to the real estate. 95% of all millionaires made their money in real estate. It is the path to wealth. I want to see many of you achieve your path to wealth in real estate as well. But I know by buying in the height of a real estate bubble rarely produces any millionaires. Most millionaires bought outside of the bubble, not in the height of a bubble, not to mention a super bubble, a global bubble, the biggest bubble ever produced in world history, artificially produced due to government stimulus programs and stimulus measures, all courtesy from a health pandemic. That is insane. The only time we've seen that happen is in the last pandemic of this size, which was the Spanish flu, which is in fact what led to the 1929 stock market crash. It all is rhyming. History always tends to rhyme. It might not, it actually repeats itself, just variations of it though. And we're now in hyperspeed. Everything now is going a lot quicker than it did then. So when you produce the biggest housing bubble ever produced overnight, basically overnight, this was produced overnight the second the federal government stimulated the economy, and one of those stimulus measures was lowering interest rates, making real estate agents essential workers to try to stimulate the economy. And they did everything from mailing checks to every doorstep in America, to dropping interest rates, to basically pouring in just trillions of dollars into the economy. It all found its way into the markets yet again. And this happened 100 years ago, folks. Depression cycle every 100 years. Mathematically, it's alive, and the perfect storm is ready to deliver it again. Once again, here we are. Insane. But many people are just, again, drinking the Kool-Aid, but the punch bowl is being removed. Interest rates are rising, and we have runaway inflation. And that, in fact, folks, will be the tipping point to this bubble bursting. It's insane. The collapse has already started, but many people are unaware of it. And how do I know that, you ask? I'll tell you, because I've seen this movie before. In the last real estate crash, I bought in the height, not understanding the things that we're talking about today, believing the narrative, buying into the FOMO. Insanity. So folks, what we have to realize now is we potentially have the biggest foreclosure epidemic ever recorded in world history. It makes sense, right? I mean, you got the biggest real estate bubble ever produced in world history. It could in fact deliver the biggest foreclosure crisis ever delivered in world history. It's insane. I mean, you have to understand that. I mean, who wouldn't? Like, supply and demand is like, are you going to continue to just hold on to the supply and demand issue? That's not going to last forever. Get ready. This summer, we're about to flood the market with inventory in hyperspeed, bringing inventory levels back up to what they were pre-pandemic. We've stifled it. It's just been stifled. But the pandemic now, we've overstimulated the economy with runaway inflation, rising interest rates, less buyers, more people can't afford their homes, which brings me, in fact, to why I believe you could, in fact, see over 10 million foreclosures produced sooner than later. And here's how. Over the course of the FOMO, the buying frenzy, the herd mentality that transpired through a health pandemic, complete herd mentality, we saw over 10 million people buy throughout the pandemic, but they didn't stop there. They went above and beyond appraised values. Insanity. So these people right now, we've hit a leveling off. We're not seeing appreciation rates anymore the way we did, are we? Well, they are starting to top out, and they can't tolerate any more growth. And now, because the recession is basically knocking at the door, people have shrank back. They're spending less. Gas is going through the roof. Food's going through the roof. They can no longer afford their cost of living the way they once did. Insanity. So what if you're one of the 10 million people that just bought in the hype and you went above and beyond appraised values and you spent your life savings to get it? You are now running on fumes because wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Even if you got a raise at your employer, it didn't match inflation. You're a ticking time bomb. Moving forward, folks, what we're going to see is as the inventory is about to flood into this market by the end of the year through new construction, through summertime, always producing new listings, through the pandemic now ending and people that were on the fence coming to market, just to name a few. Not to mention the people that maybe can no longer afford their homes. And they're like, wow, you know, maybe the writing's on the wall. Maybe we need to sell. What you're going to see is, in fact, 10 million people be upside down in their recent purchases probably by the end of the year. This Christmas time could be very, very interesting, to say the least. What you're going to see is about 10 million people basically be upside down in their purchases. So they'll hang on for a little while if they can afford those payments, but many people will not because of the inflation. The inflation is robbing them. They're depleting what savings they may have had, and if they've already depleted it and are now relying on credit cards, are spending less, driving less, eating less. That's not good. That is a recipe for disaster. So the at-risk group, in fact, is the 10 million people who recently bought in the height of a real estate bubble and went above and beyond appraised values. They're done. They are on borrowed time. And listen, folks, once foreclosures start, it's like an epidemic. It spreads like a wildfire. People start walking away from homes, putting the keys under the mat. That is what happened in the 08 era. Many people that are buying today never lived through that or suffered it firsthand. Even some of their parents are giving them the down. I work with people right now. I just helped my kids got into it. Like, are you kidding? You're in real estate. This is a bubble. How could it possibly sustain itself? It cannot. It cannot. So the reality is, folks, and final thoughts today, this is what's going on. The collapse has already started through inflation and interest rate hikes, and the coming inventory is about to change this whole market overnight. As soon as we see people that just bought through the pandemic understand the facts that they can no longer afford their payments and their houses are no longer worth what they paid for because the inventory just flooded the market and people are going through price reductions to try to get people to bite because there's going to be less people willing to buy or qualified to buy. So the writing's on the wall. The collapse has started. History always repeats itself in certain areas. And this is one of them. Anytime you put the real estate market in a real estate bubble, they have always crashed. This one is artificially produced on hyperspeed at all-time highs. It has the heaviest crash risk just on that alone. We could go on and on and on. There are way more things threatening this U.S. housing market than support it continuing on. If you're looking at a supply and demand carrying you through this one, it's about to change through coming inventory. It's slated to come in a horrible time, in an interest rate risen environment with runaway inflation and the government unable to stop it. They've thrown everything at this one. There's no more that we can do. This one is in fact teetering on a razor's edge and could supply the biggest blowback of any bubble we've ever seen. You have to admit that. So as we move forward, folks, really just understand that my job is to help you. I want to help you achieve your dreams in real estate, whether you're buying now or later. That is my goal. I myself am not going to buy in the biggest housing bubble, and many heavy hitters have made the same choice. They've jumped out and got on the sidelines. I don't blame you if you do the same. I support you, and no matter what your decision is, but I have to show you both sides of this coin, and this one is not looking too good. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. Social media links are in the description of this video if you'd like to message me there, along with other channels I've appeared on I think you would love. If you're watching from your television set today, another video is in your screen along with an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count. We will see you on the next video.